Hey fellow wealth builders. So today I'm super excited to be able to share with you my interview with a frugal millionaire. Now, we actually went over so many different things that I wanted to make sure that we had a lot of information compact into a series of videos. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you have the subscribe button hit down below and the bell so you get notified when these new videos do come up. Now, the first video in this series is actually going to be all around being potentially too frugal and how that can actually hurt you in the long run. Let us know in the comments down below as well during this video if there's anything that you think that might be considered too frugal for other people. Now, the gentleman's name is Dustin Heiner, and he actually has a website called masterpassiveincome.com. I'll actually have a link in the show notes for you to be able to check out, so make sure you stick around and see what he has to say. Today we're going to be talking about how frugality can actually cost you money, and we had some interesting conversations, so I want to make sure that we kind of present this in a way that can actually kind of maybe shed some light on frugality and how it can actually put us at a disadvantage in some ways when it comes to being able to save money.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't really understand how frugality could actually lose me money or cost me money until I started realizing how much time it was taking me to do certain things that were very good, frugal, but I realized how much money I make doing other things. So in my life, I'm a millionaire. I have plenty of money coming in, but I'm very frugal, and I'm really blessed to have a wife that's very, very frugal. And so she helped me to be frugal, but I realized in spending my time, that's the most important thing. That's the most precious asset that we have is our time. You can always spend more of it, but you can't get any more back. And so I realized at a certain point, I started becoming too frugal, that I was taking too much time, and I wasn't able to do the things that I want to do, like make more money from it.
Yeah, and I think, I talk about it a lot here on my channel where time is a very precious asset that I don't think a lot of people realize. And how, very interestingly enough, as much as I love being frugal, that there might be certain things that I do or other people things that they may do that can actually cost them a lot more than just the amount of savings that they get from it. As different as our incomes are, our perspectives are fairly similar. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing to bring up to this whole situation, that just because somebody has more wealth than another person doesn't mean those mindsets can't be aligned. Mm-hmm. And I think if you align yourself with a mindset of somebody that has that type of income but still is paying attention to these things, it can really take you to that next level if you're wanting to build wealth for yourself as well.
Yeah, to add to that, each person is different. The way I'm frugal fits me and my lifestyle. The way you're frugal fits you and your lifestyle. But also in a situation where I'm frugal in a different way because of the level of wealth that I have. I have a different type of frugality. I have a little bit more leeway here and there. But everybody, for you watching this, if you are frugal in a different way that we're not, that's fantastic. I mean, I definitely want to hear, in your comments, I definitely want to see you put that in there. If we're wrong, but you can't tell me that I'm wrong, because I'm saying this is right for me. Yeah. Dennis is saying this is right for him. What's right for you is right for you. And so as we're talking about all this stuff, we need to see how we ourselves can be more frugal, but at the same time, utilizing our time the best, because we don't want to be wasting our time. Like one example we could easily see is if you're going to McDonald's and you have 20 ketchup packets because, hey, I got 20, this is ketchup, this is free, or I paid my hamburger and I want 20 ketchup packets. So how long would it take you to actually open them up, dump them into, if you wanted to, dump them into your ketchup bottle to fill it up? If you had 20, 30, or 50, if you just kept grabbing more, go from McDonald's to McDonald's to McDonald's, so go to 20 different ones, get as many ketchup packets as you can. Well, number one, how much time does it take to go to each one? Number two, how much time does it take to open them up and squeeze them into the ketchup bottle? When a ketchup bottle, it was like $1.50, $2, $3, something like that, whatever it might be. How much time does it take to do all that stuff, as opposed to using that time to make money? I love being the save a buck mode, where you're saving money. Penny saved is a penny earned. I completely agree with that. But at the same time, it gets to a point where you're spending too much time, where instead of making, if you work a job, you're making $15 an hour. Well, if you do things that are frugal, that are only making you or saving you $1 an hour, you got to look at, hey, maybe I'm spending my time a little inappropriate, not efficiently as I should.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing to think about. And I think when it comes to frugality, I don't think that's something a lot of people talk about. I don't think people talk about how we're spending our time. It's just all a matter of how much can we save. So, there's a lot of videos out there talking about tips and tools like Dustin's saying, everybody's different. So some things might be a little too extreme for others, while, you know, something might feel comfortable for you. And that's what's great. But at the same time, I think when we had to look at it from a time perspective, I think that really opens up our eyes. And, you know, the conversations we're having, it really kind of, even for us, we're like, yeah, like that's really what it is. It's really the amount of time that it's going to cost us to do things. So if doing those ketchup packets, if you're going to save $1.50 on a packet of ketchup, but it's going to take you 3 hours to do it, that is not time well spent.
You're making like literally like 50 cents or like 80 cents an hour doing that, which you have a job. If you go work 3 hours, you're gonna make so much more money to be able to buy that ketchup.
You know, and I know maybe some excuses could be potentially, well, I just have a regular, you know, 40-hour job a week or 40 hours a week job. So it's like, I can't earn more in that job. Well, it's like, you know, there's part-time jobs, there's side hustles.
I would literally drive for Uber. You can make so much more money driving for Uber or Lyft or
do one Lyft drive and then go buy the ketchup.
Exactly, go buy the ketchup. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that's kind of like the big premise. And I find it so fascinating because it is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. And so I know there could be some like controversies and some like disagreements, I guess you could say, and that's totally fine to me.
Well, it's healthy, yeah. Because what's right for me might not be right for you, and vice versa. We're all going to be different, but it's having that mind shift of thinking, always just trying to save money instead of how am I going to save my time to do the things that I want to do. Like you can see, I love traveling. Like these are pictures of me traveling all through Europe. In 2018, I took my family, my 4 kids, and my wife. We went through 11 different countries for a 6-week trip because I have plenty of money, but I also have time, and I utilize my time more efficiently and save and be frugal. Now, I spend my time that way. Other people might want to buy cars or whatever. Like that's what they value. Whatever you value, put your time and your money towards that.
Yeah, so I think looking at it from that perspective of like, okay, what is it that I do that is frugal, and then now start putting it into a perspective of the time that you're taking to do it versus the amount that you typically make per hour, or, you know, for whatever job that you do. I know we were talking about yard work, right? So we kind of have, again, different perspectives because of our income statuses, but it's all about mindset. And I think you kind of mentioned it when we were talking off camera, is that, you know, if you want to build wealth, if you want to be in a position where you have financial freedom, the best thing you can do is learn from people that are already doing that, such as yourself, which is why I wanted you on here with me today. Because I think it's one thing to hear me say something and I'm going through the process of wanting to build wealth, but it's also another thing to talk to somebody that has done that, where they built wealth but are still implementing these practices.
And you brought up yard work, and so something for me now. I think of how much time it takes for me to do my yard work, and how much time it takes me to buy one rental property. So I invest in real estate rental properties, and that's how I don't have a job. I'm successful unemployed. I literally can live wherever I want. I have plenty of money coming in. I could travel the world. I could do all that sort of stuff. But I start thinking, like, I'm frugal. And so I want to do my own yard work because I don't want to spend money on somebody else to do the yard work. And so I look outside, I'm like, okay, I got all those weeds I got to pull. It's going to take me 2 hours at least to do that, and then mow the yard, and then do this, you know, trim all this sort of stuff. So I think of all this time it's going to take me. And it's going to take me on a Saturday, maybe 3 hours to do all the yard work. But how much is it going to cost me? It might cost me, let's say $50, $100. Let's be on the higher end, $100 for 3 hours to have somebody come. That's a lot of money. So with that though, I realized, how long does it take me to actually buy a rental property? Like it literally takes me 3 hours from beginning to end, buying a rental property and getting it rented. And the reason why, here's something that we'll touch in a few minutes. I love having other people do work. I pay other people to do work so I don't have to. So I have property managers, I have contractors, realtors, inspectors, plumbers, roofers. I have so many people do work for me. I pay them, they do the good job, they do it really, really well, and I make money from them. So they make money in the transaction, and I make money in the back end. So I literally work 3 hours, and then my property manager does all the work and gets the property rented, and I make a minimum $250 a month coming in my pocket. So every property that I have, it's a minimum of $250. So I think 3 hours on one Saturday, if I took that 3 hours and focused on buying one property, how much more money am I going to make more than that $100 for that one? Yes, absolutely. Over and over and over again, I'll be making more money. So my perspective is broader. Instead of thinking like, let's squeeze the ketchup packets, I think, how much time is it going to take me? Is this frugality is going to benefit me? Is it actually going to hurt me? You know, if I just spent that $100, I'm gonna have so much more time to make more money.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about that whole thing, because that is so powerful to think of from that perspective and that mindset and where you are currently with your finances, is to also understand that sometimes there's also the benefit of time. And we kind of will touch on this in future episodes about, buying a jacket for your kids, right? Where, you might be being able to go to the store. Well, if you go to a consignment store to buy a jacket, or you go to, a high-end, outdoor sportsman place, it's going to take you about the same amount of time.
Same exact time.
To go to either one. So it would be more ideal to go buy something at a consignment store and be more frugal in that aspect versus the actual, spending the $100. But then when you're talking about mowing the lawn, where you're physically going to have to do a difference in time,
yes,
that makes a lot more sense, where it's like, okay, I'm being more cautious. So again, it's all about time perspective. So if you're doing something that's equating to the dollar amount that you're going to earn, yeah, it might be worth being frugal in that aspect. But if it's gonna cost you a lot of your own personal time and you're saving very little, that can be very inefficient.
Yeah, the term that I learned a long time ago is opportunity cost. What could you be doing with that time that you weren't doing now? So if I'm mowing the yard, I could do something else that would actually make me money as opposed to saving me money. And so that's something that I gave a perspective. Now, what I talked about just a few seconds ago is having somebody else do the work for me. So because I'm wealthy, I have the bigger perspective of paying other people to do things that I don't want to do or they're better at, which I love hiring people that are so much better than me. Like I was literally just on the phone with my property manager, and she was explaining, I got to do this on this one property. I talked to this tenant. I'm like, I'm glad you're doing that. I didn't say this because I want her to be encouraged. I'm like, thank you very much for doing all that. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad I'm paying you because you do it, because I could travel the world. I could do whatever I want with my time, because now my life, think in bigger perspective, instead of just like one thing, instead of buying one thing differently or buying gas at a different place or doing something specific, you're thinking broader when you have more wealth. How can I pay somebody else to do this to save me time?
And I think the interesting thing about that, because I know sometimes people are like, well, I'm not in that position, why would that matter? I think when you continue to remind yourself of those type of opportunities, when you do get to that point in your life where you are building a lot of wealth, you can recollect those kind of thoughts. And for me, I definitely believe having that mindset of somebody that is a millionaire or somebody that practices things that, when they are wealthy, that's something you want to replicate in some format. Like you said, that personalizes it to you, but still in a way that's kind of the principle of what you're talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would say that anybody who's watching this that says, well, I'm not at the point where I can hire somebody to do the yard. I would say, me too. I was like that. Like 12 years ago when I first got married, we didn't have any money. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was just over broke, which I had a job. So J-O-B, I was just over broke. And so I was just like that too. I had to mow the yard, but now it's a different scheme of thought, because now I can pay somebody else because I have money, but I had to get there. And so my frugality actually helped me to build my wealth even faster. Because I was frugal, I was able to build my business even faster. And in 6 years, I had $10,000 a month coming into my pocket. So frugality helped me to save, and that saving helped me to buy properties. That properties make me money. So in all, what it comes down to, it costs me money to be frugal at times. At other times, it's great to be frugal. Like I don't mind cutting my kid's hair. So I literally cut my kid's hair. Now, it would save me time. Well, I don't know. It actually, I take that back. It's so much faster to me to say, hey, boys, go sit outside and get the chair. They go do that, and I just grab the clippers and zip, 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 zip. It's so much longer for me to get everybody in the car. Let's drive over there. Let's wait. Let's sit. Okay, they're cutting somebody else's hair. Let's wait for another 20 minutes. And then wait, and then finally one gets hair. Anyway, so you see the train of thought. It's like it's 20 minutes as opposed to an hour and a half, 2 hour trip.
Yeah, and I think just thinking about this really quick too, and this kind of came to mind, is that when you do it that way, right? Like when you look at a perspective of saying, okay, well, let's just cut the hair here because you're saving time from having to drive, saving time from having to wait, actually getting the haircut, the gas you're spending, all these different things versus just doing it at home. Somebody might be like, well, that's not going to save you that much time. But if you do it in small bursts of like, okay, you're saving it here, you're saving it there, like all that little time that you're accumulating gives you more opportunity to be able to do other things.
Absolutely.
And, there's a saying where it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And I find it to be very true with anything, whether it's personal finance or time management, where it's, if you're saving a little bit of time here and there, it's going to accumulate to quite a bit of time added up. Now, maybe it's not a full, 5 hours all at once, but maybe it's, in segments of 30 minutes, but it's how we utilize that time to be able to do more.
I saw something. I don't know how true it is, but they said like a tenth of your life you're waiting at stop signs or stop lights. Like you're literally waiting. It was like a tenth or something, like a good amount of your life. You're literally waiting in traffic. And what's sad is, like you said, when you're sitting at a stoplight, 30 seconds, but you have 8 stoplights to go through. I mean, that adds up. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's even though in my opinion, to me, to cut my kids' hair for 20 minutes, save me 2-hour round trip of doing all that sort of stuff, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, is so much worth it. But it also saved money. I literally saved money by doing that too.
Yeah, but if it was something where maybe it only took you 30 minutes to get haircuts outside of the house, and it was very efficient, then it would make more sense to be like, okay, is this worth my time and effort?
Exactly.
So it's just all about like thinking that mindset when it comes to being frugal. If it's worth it, maybe it's not. And it sometimes could be even a hard reality to like think about, well, maybe this is not really truly frugal. I know one thing I was kind of mentioning, and you guys can let me know too, is that for me, I don't actually see couponing as a way of being frugal for me, because it takes me a long time to be able to be as efficient as some people have. Now, there's some great people out there that are good at it, and they make some really...
It's a system, they have everything down. Yeah.
But I think building that system, like for me, or how it can work for me, actually can cost me more money. Plus, I know a lot of times people will also get more eager to buy more things just because they're on sale. And I think you and I both know
I've done that all the time. Yeah,
that's generally not the case. Just because something's on sale doesn't mean you're saving.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I try to encourage my wife to do coupons at some times. Like, hey, there's a coupon here. Go ahead and use it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, how much time is it taking? We homeschool. Oh, sorry, I take that back. My wife homeschools. We have 4 kids, and she does all the homeschooling. So she does all the hard work. I have the easy job of making money. She has the hard job of homeschooling the kids. And I'm like, if you're working on coupons, I understand that. It's great that you're saving money, but we have so many other things that we could be doing with that time. Not saying that couponing is bad. I think that's fantastic. Everybody should be doing that if they desire it. And so that's what I was saying at the very beginning. What's true for me might not be true for you or Dennis or anybody else. And so you need to figure out what's best for you and work that into your life to where you're saving, you're basically becoming more efficient in your time and your money.
Yeah.
If you're efficient in both of those, then you're really, really well off. And so my opinion, because I'm frugal, like you had to ask the question a little bit earlier, some people might say, well, I'm not at the point where I could pay $100 for somebody to do the yard. Well, I am, but I wasn't always that case. And so it was because I was frugal that helped me to build my business so much faster, and that's something I know we got to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's an interesting perspective of saying, and we kind of hit on this a little bit ourselves outside of the camera, where we were talking about how people who win the lottery tend not to do very well with that money.
No, all the time. It's like
all the time.
Almost 100% of the time.
Almost, yeah.
There's even TV shows that show what bad things that happen after you win the lottery.
Yeah, so it's like that, and then it's a lot of times sports athletes, a lot of times even doctors, not all of them, but some of them, where their money habits don't match up with the amount of money that they earn or get at that point, because they haven't built up a system for it. So I think a lot of times a lot of us want to be wealthy or have a lot of money and be financially free, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's one of my goals, and you've achieved something like that. But I think if we don't build up that mindset now, then we're not going to be able to achieve it. That's just like saying, hey, I really want to own a car, but I'm never going to practice driving. You know what I mean? It's like, why would you buy this really nice car and then have no practice going beforehand? So it's something that I think you need to build up in your mind and pretty much just get your brain to understand and really hone in on these skills before you actually end up earning that type of money.
And frugality is definitely, it's a mindset that you have to have. In not saying if you want to be wealthy, because there are plenty of wealthy people that aren't frugal. I completely understand that. But if you have that, it helps you be so much faster to become wealthy and to be able to just do what you want to do with your time, as opposed to being reactive, like, oh, I have to do this now, or I have to do this now, or I don't have any money now. And anyway, so all that to say, what I've found is that because I'm frugal, it's helped me so much further in life. And so my perspective is that being frugal is fantastic. I absolutely love being frugal, but there's a point where it can start costing you money. Like I said, if I go out and mow the lawn as opposed to making money, it's costing me money. And so that's something I want to leave with you guys, is that when you're looking at your life, look at how much time you're spending to be frugal and seeing, is there another way that I can use this time to where I'm actually making money? Or it could even be more frugal in a different way. Like you're frugal this way, but if you use your time instead of being frugal this way, you do it this way. I'm not sure, in your life it might be something totally different. So I'd love to see your comments too, personally. I'd like to see your comments here in the video because I want to see how you're frugal, because what's right for me is not right for him, but it could be. It could be right for you or not be. So I want to see how you guys are frugal too. But then also, I want to see how can frugality actually cost, like what are ways that we didn't come up with that are actually costing you even more money?
Yeah, if there's something either you're personally doing and kind of come to the realization that it's costing you more, or there's things that you can think of that would be potential frugality styles, but actually costing people money, let us know in the comments down below. I'd really, really want to hear from you guys. I think it'd be very interesting to see different perspectives of what people see as time wasters. We talked about it a little bit here today, and I definitely know there's more out there, so we'd definitely like to hear from you. So I hope you got some immense value out of this interview here today. Go ahead and click the next video in this series for you to be able to continue watching.